Hey guys, Cobra DVS here, and welcome to a new video. This is going to be a video unlike any video I've done before. It's because I've never done this before. Not what this video is about, anyway. So as you can see from the title of the video, and then obviously what's behind me, I bought a pinball machine. I've had it about a month. This is the first pinball machine I've ever bought, and I wanted to make a video about it because I'm totally a noob when it comes to pinball machines. I know very little. At least I knew very little a month ago. I still don't know a ton, but I'm learning a lot. About a year ago, we went to, I say we, a buddy of mine and I, Minister, Michigan, went to the Midwest Gaming Classic over in Wisconsin. And that event had so many pinball machines. That's really where I learned that there's this huge pinball, like, niche community. There's a lot of people doing it, a lot of people playing, collecting, all sorts of things. So I came back from that show and I thought, one day I'd really, really like to get a pinball machine. Um, that year, the Christmas of that year, I got this just after Christmas. It's a 60-in-1 multicade, and I love it. I really enjoy it. It's not obviously not perfect, but it's 60 games in a single space, and I really enjoy it. But I was kind of started looking at, or I started to look at pinball machines and try and just kind of learn a few things. Um, First thing you learn really quick is that pinball machines are not cheap. But just like everything else, there's a value in pinball machines, and that you can buy a $10,000 pinball machine, but is it worth 10,000? Is the game that good? A lot of the new ones you can buy the premium editions that are up there close to 10,000 or whatever. But when I started searching to legitimately buy one, which wasn't until late 2020. My criteria was simply I want a game that's a good value, and by that I mean the cost represents you get a lot of good gameplay for the cost, right? So I mean a cheap game that's really fun to play is really one that I wanted. I wanted one that the theme I liked, although I was less picky about the theme if the gameplay was really good. Um, and then I just wanted one that was in good shape and working order because I am not a mechanic, not a pinball repair guy at all. One thing you'll quickly learn when you buy a pinball machine is you're going to very soon become a pinball repair guy because it's going to happen. I've had a few repairs already on mine, minor stuff, but I'll get into it. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and say go ahead one more time. But first, let's take a look at the machine, and I'll show you what I've done to it. Kind of show you and provide as much of a beginner's guide from stuff that I've learned that I can. Certainly, I'm not an expert. I'll never, certainly not claim to be an expert. But it's been a pretty knowledgeable month and a half, 2 months, and so I think somebody in my position who doesn't really know a whole lot about pinballs but is interested in getting into it would like to, or could use, some information that kind of person could use. So let's take a look at the machine. We'll bring the camera over there, and then we'll play a few rounds. All right, so now we're back here. So let's go ahead and give you a high-level overview of the machine. At any point here, it could start making some noise. It has a little song that plays every once in a while. There's just a high view of the playfield. The playfield itself is in really nice shape. I waxed it about 2 weeks ago. It's free of mylar. There was originally a plastic coating of mylar on the table, I believe, and I'll tell you why I believe that in a second. But up here around these bumpers, you can still see this little ridge right here. That is some mylar that remains, and the point of that is, obviously, if you don't know, for high traffic areas, the mylar is meant to protect the playfield underneath. A lot of the times over the years, this will wear away or start lifting up. And so a lot of the folks will remove it. And especially if you're playing it in your house, it's not going to get as much play as in like an arcade. So it's not necessary all the time. And the reason I think that there was mylar down here originally is because you can see here there are some marks here and a rip. I'll call it a rip. Basically a tear all up there, and another one over here, back in the way back. Now these are not, and you can see another sort of ring right here. The ball, when it's in play, does travel through this ring up here. So I think the small thin wear spot is simply from the ball. That appears to be where something has ripped. And if I had to guess, I would say that there was probably some sort of a mylar strip here on this upper area that was taken off. And perhaps the same is true down here. Now, I can really see why you would want mylar on these areas. Because, you know, if you use the ramps, these are high traffic areas, so they'll be more accustomed to issues than most areas. There is not really much damage over here. But anyway, that's just an observation. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just something that I kind of noticed. So let's talk about some of the modifications. I showed you the coin doors already. This placard and this one as well are both aftermarkets. They are from Upkick Pinball. They were very, very kind in sending me both of these for free, basically, when I ordered these cheese ramp guards. So this is also a modification. Originally, this would just be a piece of plastic like this, except it's just clear plastic with a blue border. Not very exciting. I thought these kind of helped with the theme a little bit, and a lot of the folks over at Pinside really recommended them. So I went ahead and got a pair, installed them yesterday, and they included these, which is extremely handy because I was actually just looking for some custom aprons myself. So I did mention the cheese ramps, or the cheese guards, obviously. These are not the original flippers. These are segmented flippers from Marco Pinball. They look like cheese. That's why they're here. I did buy the red rubbers to go around them to try and help with the cosmetic feel. Originally, they had, I believe, just standard Williams flippers on it. These ones are just ever so slightly longer than those, which does make the game a little bit easier. And just an FYI, I've got to mess with the way that these are resting. If you notice the alignment holes here, we're not really in line. This one I think is actually in a good spot. It doesn't line up with the hole very well, but I think it's in a position. It's in a good position. Oh, as the music comes on. This one you can see is lifted a little bit too much this way. So I want to loosen it up, bring it down, tighten it back up, and I think that'll help. Here are some other modifications back here. These, they're called metal mods, also from Pinside, are just thin metal adhesive strips that go on top of the bumpers. Just give them a little bit of character. You got a piece of cheese, a mouse, and then obviously a cat over here. I think they turned out nice. I do. I think they hide some of the just general covers that come with the machine. I do have another mod coming. I haven't installed it yet, but it's some covers for these white bumpers here. It will say "POW" just like this. So those will be here sometime in the next week or so. I like these little visual modifications because they're not overly expensive and they're quite easy to put on. You don't have to be an expert to put these things on. They're all pretty simple. Okay, so what should we do next? Give you a look at the back glass also. Why don't we go ahead and I'll play around and I'll see if I can get a camera set up where you can watch. Now, just real quick, because I probably won't be able to explain this very well during the actual video, the point of mousing around is to steal the cheese. Which is basically a fancy way of saying, obviously, you want to score as many points as you can. What I like about this game is that there's a pretty big risk-reward in here. Your goal is to build up this jackpot. It starts at $1 million, goes all the way to $5 million. You build it up by playing the game, and then you can actually win those points. You don't win them by building it up. You have to do something special to win them. All right, so the way you build up that jackpot There's a couple of ways you can do it. First, you can get a skill shot, which means on your plunge, the ball comes up the side ramp here. Actually, it's under here, goes up through here, comes through this gate back here, and one of these 3 holes or channels will be lit or lighted. What's the word? One of these lights will be on. How's that? If your ball goes through the one that's lit up, you will automatically increase your bonus 1 level. The other way that you can increase your bonus is by spelling cheese. All right, you can spell cheese a couple of ways. The first way is to hit this cheese ramp. It'll go up through here, come down here, and spit out down here by the left flipper. You can also go up the left ramp, which will do essentially the same thing. It'll come around here. It'll merge with that other outer ramp right here where this cigar chomping guy is, and again come down here on the left flipper. The other way that you can spell cheese is back here. You'll notice this mouse trap is set right now, which means that it's in its open position. When you start the game, it's closed naturally. But if you hit a ball up here and you hit that little cheese target, that'll also give you a letter in the word cheese. So obviously you've got to do one of those things or a combination of the 3 6 times, and you can spell cheese. The final way, at least as far as I know, that you can spell cheese is by hitting 1, 2, and then 3 in that order. And when you do that, this whole white piece here will lower. And that gives you access to this ramp, which it's difficult to see, but it's more or less a half pipe. So when your pinball goes in here, it'll do a quick loop around. It'll come through this thing and finish down here by the right flipper. That'll also give you a letter in cheese. In addition, it'll light the million arrow, which is this. And just real quick, the million arrow, every time, if that's lit, every time you go up this ramp or this ramp, it'll add a letter to million. And then when you get it in the mouse hole at the end, it'll give you a bonus 1,000,000 points. Now, so you spell cheese, and that's how you increase your bonus. But spelling cheese isn't all you have to do to actually get the bonus. You have to spell cheese. That will open up back here, this lever here. It's called the diverter. The diverter will flip to its open position. And by getting a ball up here through the left ramp, instead of looping around, it will now come through here, go into what they call the mouse hole, and then come out down here, and that will increase your bonus again. So you've got to do one of those things 6 times because you started 1,000,000. So 6 times will get you up to 5,000,000. And at that point, or any point in there, you can cash in on that jackpot. And the way you cash in on the jackpot is by spelling mousetrap. So you see you've got mouse and trap over here. Now you can spell this a couple of ways too. The first is by hitting these targets. That will light that letter. The second way is over here in these channels to the left of the flipper, of this flipper, and to the right over here. I can't remember the actual name for these, but we'll call them channels. If you get it down here, it'll give you a letter. If you get it down here, it'll also give you a letter. And I believe that's the only other way you can earn letters, if I'm correct. So you either have to hit the targets, or your ball has to go through these channels. Once you've hit either all the letters, or you've gone through the channels enough 7 times or 9 times to get mousetrap, it will open up these mousetraps. So there's one here, very easy to see, and the other one is way back here, right there. So you've got to go through this this outer ramp to get back there. Getting both of your mousetraps, getting a ball caught in both mousetraps will then unlock multi-ball. Now it's a 3-ball multi-ball, and the way that you cash in on your jackpot is the mousetraps will be set to open, so you've got to relock a ball in each one of them, and when you do that, it will open up the mouse hole again, and then you have to get a 3rd ball into the mouse hole. That will give you your jackpot. So it sounds very complicated. It's really not complicated once you start to actually play the game. One thing that it is difficult. This game's not easy. It's quite fast. I have this set at about a 7% grade, 7-degree grade, I should say. from what I understand, most pinball machines are anywhere from like 6.5 to 7.5, somewhere in there. This machine tends to play pretty fast. It is freshly waxed, and that helps. But that's kind of the way that I enjoy to play. You know, it makes it a little bit more challenging. So I'm trying to think if there are any other pieces of information that I should share with you. You know, there is, I guess, just really quick, there's a couple of ways to earn a lot of extra points, or at least a bit of extra points. You can unlock 2 times and 3 times multiplier by getting a ball in all 3 of these upper channels. Doing that will unlock, doing it 1 time will unlock double. Doing it a 3rd time, or a 2nd time, I should say, will give you the times 3 multiplier. There's another bit over here where if you do, you know, and this one I'm actually not too familiar with. So if you hit the cheese targets while the increase score light is on, and then, you know, I think that's it. So let me see if I can figure out a way to get a camera to film a game, and we can give a game a shot here. All right, so let's go ahead and see how we do playing around. Again, the playfield, the glass is off, so what you're hearing is a little bit louder than it normally is, but that's okay. So let's see how we do. All right, so we're wanting to get in that skill shot in. That increased my bonus up a level. Remember, the goal is to spell cheese by getting in this ramp here, or by hitting this target over here and spelling cheese and doing whichever of those, or any one of the 3 6 times, will increase my, or will open the mouse hole in the back over here, which will then allow me to increase my bonus another level. So let's see if we can spell cheese here by hitting 6 ramps or the cheese target. Okay, that was not the cheese ramp. That was the outer ramp. That did help spell mousetrap for me. So you can see here we're spelling mousetrap here. I've got 3 of these letters lit up and 3 of these, so I've got 3 more left total. Remember, I can do mousetrap by hitting the targets that are here next to the mousetrap, or by getting a ball in this either of these outer channels. All right, so we were able to hit a skill shot again, which increased the multiplier, or the jackpot. Now my jackpot's at 2 million, so the next level is 2.5 million. Okay, there we go. There's one outer ramp. So now you can see the C in cheese is lit up. There we go again. One thing that I didn't mention earlier, but this diverter, mine is not perfect. I've got to get a tighter spring, I think. Often the ball will hit this little point, and it'll slow the ball down. It never slows the ball down enough to reject it, but it does slow the ball down. It just kind of hurts the flow a little bit. So I'm going to have to fix that at some point. All right, so we did not get the skill shot. But that got us a cheese letter. And so it was not a very good game. Let's try another. Put in $1.50. That should give me 4 credits. And it does. Let's go. Skill shot. There we go. And you hear that beeping noise. That is lighting up the double playfield button, which means if I had gotten a ball back here during that time frame, I would have lit up the playfield scores or double light, and obviously all my playfield scores would be worth twice as much. Let's try it again. So we are 2 letters away from spelling cheese all the way. Let's see if we can get a couple of ramps here. Alright, so what I just did, oh darn it. I actually was able to catch it on the video, but I was able to get all 3 of the POW buttons. It lowered this ramp, or this wall, we'll call it. That opens up this ramp to allow me to get cheese letters that way as well. Cheese is open, got the mouse and got the ball in the mouse hole. That's increased my jackpot again. Now it's at 2.5 million. So the way I could actually earn the 2.5 million points onto my score is by opening up both the mouse traps, by spelling the word mousetrap, which I've got 2 letters left to be able to do it. By doing that, it'll unlock the multi-ball. If I lock 2 more balls at that point and get a 3rd ball in the mouse hole, that'll give me my jackpot. I have never gotten the jackpot, so that that is a goal of mine. It is pretty difficult for me, so let's see if we can do it here. We did not get it, and I drained, which is unfortunate. So the final score, 1.62 million. So my highest score is like 5.8 million. And I was able to get that without a jackpot, though I did light the million letters in the background.
So you want to mouth
around? Skill shot. So I just unlocked the both mouse traps. Now, unfortunately, my bonus is only 1.5 million, which is very low. Or my jackpot is 1.5 million, which is only the second lowest it can be. So really, if I was able to get jackpot right now, I would not be getting that many points. But we'll go ahead and try it anyway. So I got to lock a ball here and lock a ball back there in both mouse traps. Let's see what we can do. I missed that one. Missed it again. That one was too late. Or there's too early. I missed it again. I got a cheese letter at least. And I mentioned earlier that this flipper is tilted a little bit too much this way. What that really hurts me in is trying to hit this shot. It makes it a lot more difficult. And that's why I think it's just turned in too much. Damn. No luck there. So that was a particularly bad round. Let's try again.
So you want to mouth around?
trouble hitting the ramps. There's two. That was too early. But flashing, if I can get that up here, I'll get a double. And I drained it. Again, would have been able to get it up here, I would have gotten the double points thing again. I wasn't able to get it. I'm really struggling to get the cheese ramps here, which is really the whole one thing you got to be able to do in this game. Oh, that was a good save. I do have tilt on. It's not set very aggressively, but it is on. Ah. I got an extra ball. Alright, is this ball 3? I think it is. Technically ball 4. Alright, there we go. So I got this middle ramp down. This middle ramp is very easy to hit. You just got to hit it with the right speed, and it'll get up in there. But that's a cheese ladder. That's a cheese ladder. And now the mouse is open, of course, but then I drain. Is that my last credit? That might be. Almost got 2 million. Oh, we got one more. Alright, this is the game. Alright, well, that's not a good start. Oh, that was a good one. Oh, that was terrible. Unlock mousetrap, but my pad is super low. Oh man. There's one trapped. And I just got to get this one, and that'll unlock the multi-ball. But again, it's super low. Oh my god. Oh, that was the worst round yet. 1.2. Let's say. Oh, there's another one. How many do I have this here? How many credits are in here? Got the center ramp down. We got to get better at maintaining control of the ball, which I'm not very good at. Alright, last ball. Wow,
So dynamite.
that's a terrible way to go out. Alright, I'm out of credits. So that's bouncing around, guys. Let's I'll do a little outro bit, and then we'll call it a video. So that's it. I just really wanted to show you a little bit about the machine that I had bought, and I wanted to just wrap the video up by giving a couple of tips that have helped me a lot. The first tip is the first thing you should probably do is make an account on Pinside. As far as I can tell, Pinside.com is the most active forum. Mousin Around has its own thread, which people who own Mousin Around can talk and help each other out, figure things out, or just talk about the game. It's really, and there's a ton of information from historical threads that have been made. It's really invaluable information a lot of the time. Any troubleshooting issues that you've had, there's usually somebody in there who's also had it. The diverter that I mentioned that opens the lever that opens for the mouse hole, one day that stopped working correctly. I was able to put a post up there on Pinside and talk to some people, and I was able to fix it extremely easily. So Pinside, that's my first piece of information. My second is get a copy of your game's owner's manual. So I found an original one of mine. They're not expensive, and you can buy or you can find for free PDF versions on the internet. I wanted to have one physically because I like to reference it a lot, and it's just a lot easier to flip through pages. It's pretty old. The game's from 1989, so I just recently put them all in these little plastic sleeves so that I don't cause any wear as I go through it. A lot of really good information in here. It'll give you part numbers for parts that are on your machine. So if something breaks, if you have the part number, it's a lot easier to find a replacement online. I guess the third piece of information is before you buy one, you should definitely play it and check it out. Try and understand what you're looking for. In my case, I didn't do that. Now I bought it from a collector, so and the guy seemed trustworthy when we were discussing and when I went to his house to actually get it, and indeed he was. That's a mistake though. You should definitely check out the machine before you play it, or before you buy it. Play a few rounds. Give it an overview. It's kind of like shopping for a car. I mean, you don't want to tire kick the guy, but you also want to make sure that what you're buying is what you think you're buying. Another tip is that things are going to break. It's not an if, it is a when. Things are going to break. The pinball that bouncing around in there, it causes damage. There's a ton of, as the machine comes on again, there's a ton of solenoids and moving parts in these things, which is what really makes them cool to me. But they break. They're old. This thing's older than me. So don't let that turn you off, though, because one of the reasons I got a machine that was from this era is because to repair it, I'm not looking at a ton of like electronics and computers and PCBs. For the most part, unless there's an issue with my board, which has been serviced before I bought it, it's just like solenoids, wiring, and things like that. I can figure that out. You're going to want to make sure you have a soldering iron, and I found this to be super helpful. This is a headlamp. You put it on, and you've got a lamp right there for you. And then just a good tool set, and that's all you want. A lot of the screws and bits and nuts and bolts, you can buy them at Home Depot. They're not all that unique. And the parts that are unique to either your machine or our specific pinball parts, chances are pretty good that there's an aftermarket replacement for it. And if not, then 3D printing's come a long way. The point is, you can pretty much fix anything. There's very few things that I've seen that are unfixable. Now, if your board is cracked in half, you're going to have to get a new board or something like that. But mechanically, pretty much everything is fixable. And with a little bit of reading, a little bit of know-how, and having the owner's manual with you, it's really not all that difficult. And that comes from somebody who has zero experience in this kind of thing whatsoever. So I've been able to. I had to do my first soldering job about 2 weeks ago. A wire for that diverter again. That's the second issue I've had with that. Came loose while I was lifting the playfield to service, change out the flippers. Um, Something got caught and it snagged and broke off a piece that was soldered. I was able to buy a soldering kit and solder it back. The big thing for me is I don't want to ever go into a situation totally ignorant to what I'm doing. So I do a lot of research online before I lift that playfield and start looking at things. It doesn't hurt to have a multimeter. You know, I don't know, all that kind of stuff, tools for the job. If I were to make a short list of the stuff that you should get, without a doubt, a soldering iron and a solder sucker for sure, a headlamp, and some good wrenches, I guess. If you have a nice little tool kit with wrenches, that'll come in handy as well. Um, but other than that, I mean, they're really not. So far, I've only had it a month. I can't say all go. It could all go kaputs tomorrow, but it's been really cool to own one. It's fun to work on one. Somebody once told me it's a lot like owning a classic car. Part of the fun of having one is actually fixing it and working on it. That is totally true. That's absolutely the case. But you know, I'm 2 months in, month and a half, however long it's been, and I'm in. Right, I really enjoy it, and I'd strongly recommend anybody who has the means and the space and the ability to work on something like this to do it. It's a really cool little hobby. So those are just my words of advice. Hey, take them for what they're worth, and hopefully I can do some more pinball videos down the road. I don't know when or if I'll get another machine, but there's still more to mousing around that I could definitely show. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.